Because testing the operating system installation requires more preparation and configuration than the other use cases, we suggest you contact the pre-sales consultant assigned to you for support. For example, what you need is a test client and either a depot server in your environment with a PXE service running so you can do PXE network boot, or a USB stick you can use to boot the target client from and then install the operating system across the internet. This video will show you the OS installation process, what needs to be configured in the Imperium OS installer, and you will also see an installation of a VM from A to Z from the system. So first of all, we start the Imperium Management Console from the service desktop. And step one is we want to import the operating system sources. So we need the original Windows ISO file, and we go to Configuration, OS Installer, go to Import, and then we can right-click here and import the operating system from the source directory. This is already done in our test environment, so the Windows 10 is imported. We also imported a language file for this operating system. Step two is we need a Windows PE boot image. So this is for the pre-installation phase, for the pre-OS phase. You select a template, an agent template, which contains the username and password to log into the depot server or main server. You can also select the technology used, so BIOS support. The TFTP block size is an optional configuration, so we can select 64K blocks, but some BIOSes do not support this speed, so you can slow it down if you run into any issues. And you might also want to add additional drivers. It will use the drivers that come with the Windows PE, so it depends on which PE version you install, which drivers are included. If you need any additional ones, you can add them from here, so they will also be used in the PE phase. After that, you can click on Offline Boot Media and create a USB stick or an ISO image you can boot from. Or you can simply click on Save, and then it will create a Windows PE boot file for the PXE boot. Next step is we want to add drivers for the operating system. So this is for the operating system, not for the pre-OS phase. So for each model, we have one line here and the corresponding driver, either a directory containing the files or a zip file containing the files. So you can always upload additional drivers. You can also add additional models. You will see later that we have a special package called hardware info, which will create this string, pull it from the client system and add the string here. So if you integrate a new PC model, you can set up hundreds of assets with the same model string, so you only need to do it once for each model. If you use Imperium from the cloud, you can install the packaging center from the software depot. So simply search for packaging center and click on install. And then you will have this little icon here, which gives you the offline PXE image creator and the offline driver package creator. So you can prepare the PXE image with your local system, with your own WinPE version, or the drivers, and upload them to the cloud system. Now let's assign the items we created in the administration view. We have the configuration group structure like here. And now we assign, for example, the Windows PE boot image from here. So this is our WinPE, so we can simply drag and drop it to any level here. It's already assigned on the client level, so we are good to go. What we also need is the operating system we would like to install. So after the import, it will show right here, and you simply select the edition and drag and drop it here, so like this one. Same for the language packs. If you want the German language packs in your German branch, you can go here to your German clients and drag and drop the language packs, so they will automatically get a German UI. What we also need is packages. Our system comes with several pre-built so-called pre-OS packages. that run in a specified sequence. They're basically PowerShell scripts, so you can also modify the scripts if you like. And here you can assign those packages individually by drag and drop, or you can put them into a so-called end class, like here, the WinPE OS Inst end class. Let's have a look at the content. So this class contains a disk partitioning, which is also somewhere here in this list, and a domain join, which will automatically join the system to the local AD. This is to add the drivers. This installs the Imperium agent, which will add the software like Office, Adobe, etc. This is for the optional language installation. This is a special package turning off the PXE switch in the database. So after this package has been started, the client will boot from the local hard disk and not from the network. And finally, this is the package to do an unattended installation of the Windows from the ISO we imported. As an option, we also have disk image packages to create disk images, so basically VHDs, and also to deploy those images. Other packages that are worth mentioning is the end-of-life package, which will completely wipe the hard disk or SSD, so the data cannot be recovered, and the hardware info package I already mentioned, which gives you the model ID for the driver integration. So again, those packages can be assigned individually by drag and drop, or we can use this end class, which can be configured from the software depot. It's right here, so you can add or remove packages if you like. It's just to make it easier to read, easier to manage. Now, the last thing we want to go through is the configuration of the variables of the packages. Some packages require configuration, like for example, the disk partitioning. You can either click on a group level or on an individual client to configure those variables. So yeah, let's have a look at the disk partitioning variable set. So you can specify the size of the system partition or of the data partition. And to make it easier, we also added a so-called variable set, which is called WinOSConfig, which we can also drag and drop from here. So we have variable configurations. And when we double click on the variable configuration, it will show you the variable sets contained, like disk partitioning, domain join, which account it uses for the domain join, what happens if the domain join fails, things like that. So you can always add additional variables. You can create new variable configurations, or you can create special variable configurations for a specific country, like here for the German operating system. So now everything is assigned. We can start the OS installation process. So I can go to the computer I would like to reinstall, click on Activate, select Activate PXE. Of course, that's not required if you install via USB stick. This is only for network boot. And you can also use Wake on LAN. So if the computer is currently turned off and there's a Wake on LAN service in that location, you can start the system via Wake on LAN. As an option, you can also use the UEM console based on a unified user experience. So that's why I start this UI now and I go to the Unified Endpoint Management. First of all, the configurations are also in this console, so you can see the boot configuration, you can see the installation sources, language packs we imported. We can also see the packages here, like WinPE packages for disk partitioning, etc. And if we want to activate the OS installation, we go to Endpoint Devices. We search for the client we want to install. It's the PCD2000. And I click on Activate PXE, and that's it. So now when I power on the system, it should boot from the network and install Windows 10 from scratch. This is the PXE boot phase. It's automatically loading our Windows PE image I created. And I will now make some time lapses to keep the video shorter and explain what happens. In the WinPE environment, the Matrix42 PE agent is automatically loaded, and it will connect to this server and then get the list of packages and run them in a sequence till everything is finished. The progress can also be monitored from the management console. So when I switch to the management console, I can right-click on the client, go to Show Log, and I can see which package is currently running and what package has already been finished. And I can also check the PXE log, which gives me some feedback on what happens during the Windows PE boot. Now the Windows unattended installation phase has been initiated. Now the operating system installation is finished, and the UEM agent is automatically started and installs the applications like Office, Adobe, Patches. Now the system is completely configured. We can also check that in the console. When we right-click on the computer and go to Show Status, we get all green icons. So we can now log in for the first time. After the login, Matrix42 Personal Backup automatically restores the individual user configuration, like, for example, documents on the desktop or internet browser favorites. So if the user migrates from an existing system, no data is lost.